You're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you?
I'd heard rumours that Civil War's biggest sin was that it was boring. But no! Civil War has many sins, and its biggest sin is how gutless it is. For a film that's trying to portray itself as important, it hasn't got the balls to say anything worthwhile. But before we get into it, I'll quickly do this. You can command your own Civil War with today's wonderful sponsor, Conflict of Nations. Conflict of Nations is an exciting real-time combat system placing players in control of existing countries and their army, pitting them against other gamers in a struggle for world domination. And it's not just the world you have to worry about. Conflict of Nations lets you keep the war at home with the Civil War Battlegrounds USA scenario. Conflict of Nations is a free online PvP strategy game where you can fight up to 128 other players in real time, in games that can take weeks to complete. Who has time for girlfriends? Am I right? Use multiple units to build your army, tanks, jets, nuclear submarines, declare war on your neighbours or forge alliances with other players. Choose your own strategy, engage in epic battles, and take over the world. Plus, you can play with the same account on both PC and mobile. And if you click on the link in the description, you will get an exclusive gift, 13,000 gold, and 1 month of premium subscription free. This offer is only available for 30 days, so get onto it. Play Conflict of Nations and lead your own Civil War today. Civil War never gives us a sense of whose side we're meant to be on. And that's not to say I want to be spoon-fed a side to barrack for. Stories are always more interesting when the enemy has depth and they're not just the bad guys. But the trouble here is that we don't get any depth, background or motivations for either side. A civil war happening within the borders of the self-appointed police force of the planet deserves a bit more explaining as to how we got into this situation. But nothing is explained in this movie. I'm not even sure if this film even understands what's going on. The landscape is more like a post-apocalyptic film than a film planted in the middle of a war in a country with over 300 million people. Where the hell is everyone? There is no sense that there's been a mass extermination, yet we get shot after shot of deserted roads, highways and cities, and the refugee camps only ever have a handful of people, and the only riot we see is at the start of the film. The rest of the time there's barely a sense of fear, which from what we've seen in recent history seems very unlikely. A far better example of showing a country in conflict is the fantastic film Children of Men. That film has a real sense of danger, a mixture of people trying to live their lives while surrounded by war and terrorists. Civil War masquerades as an internal guerrilla war, but plays it like a foreign war with distinct front lines. For most of their journey, you don't fear for the safety of the characters. They seem to be able to camp anywhere, getting stoned and drunk while watching nearby conflicts like it's a fireworks display. Just try sleeping on the street without a civil war going on and see how long you are left alone to enjoy your evening. Even when we run into soldiers or fighting civilians, there's barely a sense of danger, and I'm not sure which side they are on.
Cool.
I actually don't know which side anyone is on in this film. Both sides don't seem to have ever heard of the idea of taking prisoners, and we see both of them execute unarmed people.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
The USA, in general let's say, doesn't treat foreign forces that way, so it seemed quite jarring that they would treat their own people with such violence. Saddam Hussein had more rights when he was captured than the President of the United States in this film, and it's never explained why. Now, if this film was more of a character study, interrupted by the violence of war, say like a film like Apocalypse Now, the lack of background or goals of each side could be forgiven. And no, I'm not saying Apocalypse Now doesn't explain its background and goals, but the characters in this film have no character. You can see who each character is meant to be. The worn-down photojournalist that has seen too much, the flirtatious sidekick comic relief, the old insightful friend, and the young plucky go-getter that doesn't know what she's got herself into. Yet none of them deliver on their role.
Critics are raving about the movie event of the year.
The story revolves around a famed photojournalist, her two journalist friends, and one tag-along want-to-be photojournalist, heading out on a road trip to try and interview the president just before he loses a civil war. A war that seems to have been going on for years across America. It's a point A to point B movie with side adventures and lessons along the way, though the lessons are hard to find. Each side story hard cuts to the next location with little connection in between. So much so there's even a scene where one of the characters asks, "Did we just go through a time warp?"
Did we just drive through a time portal?
As a way to soften the jump of tone and scenery. We have the side quest shootout. Again, no idea which side's which. We have the time travel town where nothing has changed and life is normal because the whole town decided to just ignore the war.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on?
Just try to stay out.
I think France tried that trick in World War II. The fact that 3 professional journalists have never heard or seen images out of this unaffected town is very odd, and where the town is getting its supplies and fashion clothing to sell is never questioned by these hard-working journalists. We have the wacky friends turn up out of nowhere for a wacky car swapping scene that sadly reminded me of Footloose with its cringiness. One of those scenes where everyone forgets that cars have brakes and you can slow down or stop at any time. One of the cars also has a hidden jet engine as it disappears down the road like a Bugatti against a bicycle. This leads to the next side quest, where our new members of the party who have literally just joined the journey are used to show that racism is bad, and not in a heavy, insightful way that has meaning. No, it's just redneck, thick-brained racism.
Okay. What kind of American are you?
The racism ends with one of those convenient movie vehicles that is totally silent until it is only about 10 feet away from the bad guys. Yes, the racist soldiers get bowled over in an open field by the old dude in a very loud truck. It's amazing how far you can hear in an open field. I'm surprised they didn't hear the truck start up, let alone driving across the field straight at them. It was a very movie rescue. The old dude then gets shot with one of those magic Kennedy bullets that can bend around metal and other people to hit its target.
Every instinct in me says this is death.
Our next destination has a US wet dream backdrop while our group deals with the old dude's death, which is very, very, very emotional. Something completely missing at the end of the film when another, and I would say more important person, cops some lead in the back. We get to the final destination, and hopefully it's not too late for this, but spoilers here, and the rebel army is going in for the president. Our young photojournalist has all of a sudden grown up. We know this because her hair is tied back now, like her heroes. And we know this because the posse of three decide to not wear their helmets this time. Even though this is the final assault and seems very dangerous, you would imagine this would be the time to wear the helmets. But no, I'm guessing the director realised how stupid they looked earlier in the film. Anyway, our group make it into the White House while everyone is looking the other way. And that's not a joke. They literally just walk in to the home of the president during a battle while everyone else is distracted. This leads to our protagonist getting shot protecting her young sidekick in the stupidest way possible. The old cliched pushing the younger, inexperienced person out of the way so the old gruff veteran who really does have a heart gets shot. But instead of pushing her in the direction she was moving, our older hero pivots 90 degrees and pushes our younger friend here straight back, keeping them both in the line of fire for a dramatic kill shot. It's so stupid. An instant kill shot in her back while she's wearing a Kevlar bulletproof vest. Don't know how that works. Now, I know bulletproof vests don't stop every bullet, but in a film, it looks stupid to just ignore the purpose of the vest without explaining that it failed or using the failure for drama. We even had an earlier scene where our Kirsten Dunst character tells her younger sidekick to get a Kevlar vest, and we never see her actually get one, so the final scene could have played out a lot better if our older journalist here had given the sidekick her Kevlar vest for protection while chastising her for not getting one yet. This would have made the kill shot more dramatic and more of a sacrifice, not an empty slow-mo shot where we spend the whole time looking at her bulletproof vest trying to work out where the bullet hit.
Don't do this. But here we are.
Speaking of slow motion, the director, Alex Garland, could give Zack Snyder a run for his money with the bad slow-mo choices. One character goes into slow motion just walking into a bar. I think it was to signify her entering the adult world. So yeah, there's a lot of horrible use of slow motion in this film, which is nowhere near as bad as the score. This film has the worst use of music I can remember. Bizarre choices of songs and where to use them. You can feel they were going for a Vietnam War soundtrack vibe, where rock and pop songs from the time set the tone. But the only feeling this score produces is bloody annoyance. And one last gripe, which for me is a bit personal, so bear with me. If you're going to have your story based around two photojournalists, get advice on professional shooting and equipment. This drives me nuts. I'm guessing people that know how to use weapons feel this way when watching action films, but the people making action movies don't have to know how to use guns, but they do have to know how cameras and lenses work. Now I won't go on too much because I could bloody go on for hours about this, but my main whinge, there are many very good reasons why photojournalists stopped shooting with film 20 years ago and using black and white 40 years ago. Just finding film without a civil war going on is hard enough. Lucky she didn't have to change film during that final shootout. That would have caused a problem. Well, there was no chance of that because I've never seen two photojournalists in such unique situations taking so few photos. Take some bloody photos, would you? And those low light capabilities of film are really going to push our young go-getter skills. Photography is so important in this film that the film finishes with our young photographer taking the all-important photograph that will make her a star. We even get an extended frame of the shot developing while the credits roll. An underexposed photo, I might add. The director wants to really drive home how important this photo is. So it's a pity everyone else's photo of the president laying dead on the floor will be uploaded and shared with the rest of the world before our young friend here is even wound back her film. Yes, you had to manually wind back film in the olden days. Then she's going to have to develop the film. Can't do that until the next day. And that's after she finds the chemicals she needs. She'll then have to scan every negative. Good luck doing that on your phone. What did she have planned next? Posting the photos in an envelope by ship to the newspaper? Why stop there? Why not really sacrifice plausibility for romanticising the profession by having the video guys shooting on Super 8 cameras? It makes just as much sense. Okay, I'll stop about the cameras.
You know what I mean?
So in the end, Civil War is too gutless to say anything about present-day America or war in general. It pretends to say a lot, but in the end, it's the ultimate all show and no substance. And don't forget, you can help keep the robot headquarters lights on by checking out Conflict of Nations. It's free to play. If you use the link in the description, you will receive a unique starter pack for free. This offer is only available for 30 days, so get onto it and start taking over the world. And you'll probably have more fun than watching Civil War.
Cool.